Feels like old times here doing phone calls on a Friday. Let's go right back to those lines. Let's go to Ozzy in New Jersey. Ozzy, same question. What, if you were advising the president, what should the president do? What is our responsibility? And should Congress get a pass?
No, I think they should stay out of it 100%. And we haven't learned our mistakes from the past with Iraq and Afghanistan. And people seem to forget the young people that we lost in all these wars and their families and what they're going through here in the U.S. And to even think that they're going to go in there without any approval and just take it upon themselves, I think it's a big mistake. We're not in a position to be doing this, and I really think the president should rethink this.
Ozzy,
and
what
really
if it's,
think about
Ozzy,
the
what
people
if
in
it's
America.
what if it's just airstrikes and missile strikes? If we can sort of do this cleanly and from a distance, there's a difference between that and putting boots on the ground and troops in harm's way. Would that be okay?
I think if they come together in agreement with the UN, I think they will be limited. It will be okay. But to even think to go in there by themselves, not at all. Like I said, the young men and women that we've lost already, let's talk about their families and see how they're doing and what they're going through. And I can understand over there, too, but I just think we're not in a position to be doing this right now. I really don't.
Well, thank you for the phone call, Ozzy. And Ozzy's sentiments, Andrew, shared by more than a few in Congress, but there's certainly a division, and as I said off the top, it's not just Republicans here and Democrats here, they're all over the place.
It really is all over the place, Rich. First of all, you got more than 150 members of Congress who have now signed off on a letter saying basically we want congressional approval before you take any action against Syria. That includes Democrats and Republicans from across our area. Meanwhile, top lawmakers in the intelligence and armed services realm supporting military action, including Nancy Pelosi, you got Robert Menendez, Bob Corker, Eliot Engel. Those are all chair people and ranking members of intelligence committees. But as we move on to the Senate Armed Services Committee, the two top members there, Michigan's Carl Levin and Oklahoma's James Inhofe, they both disagree. Levin says the U.S. should get international support. Inhofe criticizing the use of the red line by the president. So different sides of the party line there, but both critical of the policy. Among the most vocal critics thus far is Rand Paul. He's saying the U.S. doesn't have any strategic objective, won't change the course of the war. And here's the quote: "I'm not sending my son, your son, or anyone else's son to fight if your goal or objective is stalemate, as he believes it is." And finally, from Jimmy Carter, Rich told you that he wants international help. He's calling for a Syria peace summit.
Sounds like he's probably volunteering himself to lead it. I got to tell you, I never thought I'd see the day, but a little part of what Rand Paul had to say about no clear strategic objective, or at least strategy at this. 9 days ago, he says he's going to do something. We're still talking about this back and forth. The longer the wait, the more people are going to... There is no perfect solution. There are only choices between bad and worse out of this. And one of the bad options is doing nothing. Let's be clear. At this point, if we just said never mind, there is a net consequence. Forget just a U.S. Perception, but also the message that you're sending to every other despot and thug around the world that, you know what, you basically cross our line, you violate every international agreement as it relates to where you won't go, and we at the end won't do anything about it. There is a consequence to be paid for that. Dominic, in terms of just from a legislative side, I just think he might have been better off, believe it or not, a week ago if he shot the missiles and moved on. Now it's everything's got to be perfect, and no wars, no even military exercises. There's no such thing.
Well, I think the president, the country is already laying the groundwork. Some military action is going to happen.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think I'm wrong on this.
No.
Something
Definitely.
is going to happen.
Probably this weekend.
Probably this weekend when the Secretary of State releases the evidence, the president makes a statement today. Something is coming in the middle of the night. We'll probably wake up to military action.
Just from a timeline standpoint, sorry to interrupt, but the inspectors, as Andrew said, still on the ground.
Right,
They're on the ground tomorrow. Probably, if this happens, the earliest would be Sunday our time or Monday. But we're not going to be sitting here a week from now still talking about this. I hope not, for the administration's sake.
I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying this is wrong. But listen to the sentiment expressed by many of the callers on this program tonight. And then you have a president that's concerned about his legacy. And he doesn't want to be seen as a wartime president coming out of these two wars. It's a tough, as you said, a tough situation.
I think made more difficult the longer we've waited, but that's just one person's opinion. Joe calling us from Cornwall. Joe, what do you say?
I think it's time to let Israel and let Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait balance the power in the Middle East destabilize the region. And throwing Tomahawk missiles for the last 20 years have not accomplished anything.
And nobody thinks, Joe, to your point, that they're going to solve it this time either. It's more saying a message than anything else. We have already made it clear. We will not be taking out the chemical weapons. I mean, imagine, we shoot the chemical weapon stockpile, and then what happens? Secondly, we've made it clear we're not going to do regime change. Translation, we will not be targeting Assad or top levels of his cabinet or administration, whatever you want to call it.
We're just going to blow some stuff up.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
the
really
best
what we're
way
going
to
to
say
wind up.
it.
We're going to blow some stuff up.
We've got some great calls tonight. How about online, Andrew?
You know, we're kind of getting the same sentiments echoed online as we have on the phones today. Let's start with Troy Hottenstein, who wrote in, "No way, we don't want to get involved in Syria, let them fight it out." There's Brian, who says we're still at the same place, we're back to just another new kid to pick on. Let's say we have Jim, or if we got, well, okay, we'll just keep going, whoever's next. There's from Jim, who said stay out, basically, of the region. David wrote in, we have no business there in Syria. Blake wrote in, no, stay out of Syria, worry about America. And Charlotte Ross had a good comment I wanted to make sure that we got to. Genocide changes things, she wrote. To not take a stand against such atrocities and inhumanity makes us the next target. Civil war is one thing. Releasing chemical weapons against your people goes against all laws of UN. But ironically, as we've been pointing out, the UN isn't going to get involved in this. So it's tough. It's a tough spot to be in.
And then it falls to who? Hey, everybody, great calls. Thank you. And just as we've been asking, as you saw Andrew with the comments, keep your comments coming online right now, and we will get to more of those comments in upcoming shows. All right, when we come back, we're going to turn to the issue that would have normally led here. Huge news in the race for City Hall. Numbers out that have made us all do double takes when it comes to the race for Gracie Mansion. Now, in the controller's race, also what we thought was a race that was a done deal, now all of a sudden a toss-up. We'll get into all that New York politics and also look across the state in New Jersey as well. Stay with us.